Hello, minions, and welcome back to the worst podcasting show ever. Okay, is that the worst reselling podcast ever?
Did you remember to hit record?
Yeah, I think I did this time. I don't know what
good.
it is. Yes, and I can't remember our name. Jeez, we're a bit off kosher today, aren't we?
We are a bit off centre.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with this hostage that's been rattling the cage in the corner.
Oh, okay. Could be. Well, it's been causing me a bit of stress because I've been worried about, that they've been getting enough food and water.
I was about to say, are you humans supposed to eat? He's got no shortage of water. Put it that way.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, but salt water's not exactly the ideal thing for a human.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he doesn't look much of like a human anymore, but hey, he's a bit blue around the gills. Put it that way.
All right, so he's a he. We've got that much.
Yeah. She's float. She.
Oh, come on now. Yeah, come on now. You're just stirring me up.
Oh no, I can't help myself. So we're going to do introductions again because why not? Because everyone can't tell who we are. So on my right or on my left, I don't know what side you people call it, is the Grumpy Granny, Leanne from Grumpy Granny's YouTube channel.
Good evening, boys and girls, whatever you want to
watch. That's right. So what's been happening this weekend, Leanne?
Oh, well, it's been just a hectic little week this week. And yesterday I did a big thrift run to Sanana, which is down the road. I have to drive about 40 kilometres. Would you stop trying to pretend you're going to sleep while I'm talking? And, sales were good yesterday, bit low the day before. It's like the roller coaster, as they say. Yeah. What about for yourself? How have you been doing?
It's been pretty quiet here in the Octo Layer. Like I said, maybe the hostages that I got sitting in the corners giving me a bit of bad luck.
Maybe.
Maybe I should have put my my attention to eBay opposed to like prodding them with an electric sticky thing.
Perhaps so, yes. Spend your time doing that instead of annoying the hostage.
Well, that's right. Yeah, but hey, what can we do? Yeah, that's what they're there for. If they're walking down the street in the middle of the night and they accidentally fall into my van, what can I do?
Oh, crikey.
Yes, I can't take these people
crikey.
Anywhere.
No.
Well, hopefully they survive and tell their friends how pleasurable the experience was.
Well, let's hope they find something pleasurable about it.
Well, that's right. Hey, look, if anything, I'll give them some lollies, I'll just say, to make them think they've been abducted by aliens.
Yeah, well, because we didn't receive any donuts to give them, so I guess lollies will have to do.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's right. There is a severe lack of donuts here, so I don't know.
Hopefully
we'll have that rectified soon.
Yes, because I hear young Ethan Rushock has one of his videos about tax time has gone like nearly viral, so he should be able to actually afford to send us some donuts now.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. The extra 36 cents he makes on YouTube.
Exactly.
Whilst probably ruining the tax, the tax for everyone.
Possibly.
That's right. So without further ado, like, I am the Disgruntled Octopus. If you haven't already worked out, benevolent dictator and apparently hostage taker. So I don't like that moniker, but hey, I'm working on my words.
Truth hurts.
What? Apparently so. So last week we had some issues with our microphone. Apparently that we had a couple of comments saying that I wasn't loud and clear and I looked like I was in an aquarium tank. That's been rectified. Apparently, if you move the microphone closer to the octopus, that works a lot better.
Amazing, that, isn't it?
That's right. So for that beloved fan that reached out, make sure you keep it off the streets at night time and look out for white vans. You might find yourself in the cage as well.
Could do, yes.
That's right.
Retribution.
Okay, so moving right along, we're going to talk about what grinds Grumpy Granny's gears this week.
Oh, well, look, okay, so my daughter's in Mildura and she's been doing a bit of gene hunting for me in the op shops, and she went into one this morning, and this other person who was quite obviously a reseller, they bought a new rack out and just pushed straight in front of her and pushed her out of the way and just started getting stuff off the rack, before anybody else had a chance. And that really grinds my gears because, 98% of us are not like that. We're kind and respectful in the op shops, and they're the few people that give us a bad name, and that grinds my gears.
I do have something as a rebuttal. Can you tell your daughter to get out of my way next time?
I'll do that. Yes,
that's
yes.
right.
She'll just give you a good shove back.
That's right. She'll be copping it. I don't know what our hostage is doing. I think I better make sure he's not floating in a minute.
Oh.
He looks a bit scared down there in the
Does he?
in the green room. I don't know, but that's all right. Well, like I said, we'll give him some lollies and we'll tell him it was aliens. So moving right along, we've got a new segment called Show and Tell. Grumpy Granny wanted to introduce this because apparently she's in kindergarten. So what do you have for us this week?
So this week, when I went thrifting yesterday, part of what I picked up, and these were 50 cents each because I got a bit of a book deal, and they are drawing manga books, which I thought would be very, very good. Yeah.
So, are they good?
Well, I think so. I think they'll be good. I haven't actually comped them as such, but I have comped similar ones. But, like manga and anime stuff all seems to sell fairly well. So just something sort of to keep an eye on. But, of course, do your research first.
That's right. That's exactly right. I think I've sold those previously and they didn't go as high as I was expecting. So be curious to see how they shake out. But I found a bit of a downturn in manga lately. So
well, I'll do them as a bundle anyway, because they're only 50 cents each. So I'll put them together and see how we go.
Sorry, I'm not distracted. I'm trying to make sure the minions are ready to bring the victim in, or as some people like to belovingly call them. I have no idea what they're doing. But hey, without further ado, here's the Octopus's show and tell. So, Gumbrigeni, welcome to your first hostage. Apparently, he's a 99 cheap win.
Well, $99 cheap win, yes.
You don't recognise that username, do you?
No, I don't.
So we don't pay the electricity bill in the Octo layer, so he hasn't got the lights turned on.
Well,
there's a bit of.
Oh yeah, what's going on? Like, how am I meant to know?
Well, it's because we in Evil Dictator School, we get taught to do a bit of light. What do they call it? Light. There you go. Oh, look at that. Oh, well, apparently we need to turn the oxygen on too by the sound of it. I don't know.
I don't know.
That
almost sounds like he's got a fur ball.
Oh, it could be. Well, it might have been the cat that I hide. Oh, no, here we go.
Oh, dear.
What do we have here? I don't know. I suppose we better let him loose. So, hostage number one, who are you? Reveal yourself.
Oh, Jon!
Greetings, Granny. How are we doing?
I'm very well, yourself.
I was asked to be as theatrical as possible, so I think I've done my job.
You did do your job. That was very good.
I also realized with the roller shutters, the room gets pretty dark, so...
Works well for the hostage situation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
yes.
We might have to use that room for future hostage negotiations, I think.
There's an extra income stream for you, Jon, renting your room out as a hostage place.
Oh my gosh. I have this thing called a wife that I need to consult whenever I do things.
Or you could even double as one of those current affair rooms where they black people out when they have gripes with their employers or their next door neighbors.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already worked out, Jon the Reseller is our first hostage. He's been missing for the last 4 days. Everything you've seen on YouTube in the last week has been pre-recorded. Even pre-recorded lives. That's how important he is and how intelligent this person is. He mightn't look intelligent, but let me assure you, he is.
He is.
So welcome, Jon.
Pleasure to be here.
Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself? I'll pretend not to sleep when you're talking.
What's there to tell? I mean, I don't know what to say. I sell shit. I predominantly toys. I'm a big kid in a grown-up's body. I have responsibilities that grown-ups have. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure a lot of our viewers would like to know why you modeled yourself after Mr. T.
It was not Mr. T. Public record, it's Flounder from The Little Mermaid. I think I did an Instagram post about that.
My next guest was going to be Yondu off Guardians of the Galaxy.
The first time I saw Flounder, I thought to myself, that looks really cool. And then it's just been kind of like in the back of my head for many, many years. And so when I didn't have to be professional anymore, this happened.
Yeah. So, just
and it suits you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So does yours, Granny.
Oh, thank you. Yours would be a lot less work, though. I can tell you that.
It'll be strange. Can you imagine growing out a mohawk and giving it a perm so it's this little wavy little bit of... That'll be interesting.
Well, now that you're saying that, that's almost like what Uncle Wayno's hair looks like at the moment after he cut his off.
True. Yes.
And that's a throwback from last week as well. Yeah, the poor guy can't afford a haircut, so obviously he's not doing too well on YouTube. He's got to cut his own hair.
Exactly.
Resourcefulness points for raising money and cutting his own hair on a live stream. That's,
Yes.
That's right. Yeah,
True.
we won't give credit to Uncle Wayno because his head's big enough as it is. But... yeah. So, what about your YouTube, mate? You got about 3,200 subscribers. Last check, I had a bit of a squizzer. You've been doing a nightly show as well.
It's fun. Probably not a nightly show, but anything to kind of merge things together so it's a good use of time, like fun and work reselling, right? YouTube, reselling, live stream. So anything to kind of do more with the same chunk of time, just do it.
No, that's right. And do you find that you're getting many people come through? Or like, because there's normally about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's interesting because we get about 20 to 30 people for most of the live streams, which I'm quite surprised by, given that it's been a bit of a new thing. But I think that because everyone who does it on the side kind of does eBay at night, so the house gets really quiet and lonely, and then I suppose for some people they like that. For some people, once they get a whiff of a live chat that's happening for them, they go, this is actually quite nice. It's a bit of connectedness, a bit of community feel, a bit of chance for people to get to know me to get to know them. And the fact is, most of us, when we start doing eBay on the side, nobody actually knows what we do, and for the most part, we're trying to share a bit of the excitement, and everybody else in the house is like, we don't care. That's the short answer. They don't care. And so, show me how it makes money and then how it benefits the family and pays for bills, then maybe we'll start to care. And for the kids, it's like, maybe you'll bring something back from the thrift that gets me excited. But apart from that, it's like, if you're selling costume jewelry, you've got little kids and your missus doesn't care about it, you're pretty much on your own. So the live streams have been really good for that. I feel like whenever someone just decides to word vomit what they're going through, I've tried these shelves, I've tried these things, I found these things. I feel like only the reselling community allows that to happen. And we go, we hear fun, it's have your say. Because you kind of, you're trying to put your thoughts together and go, I think I need to checkpoint my thoughts and kind of concise it together so that I know, all right, I'm going to make more decisions, but at least let me collect these thoughts that are a bit kind of all over the place. And I think the live chat's been kind of good for that as well. So, yeah,
they're a lot of fun. Yeah, I've been to your last couple, and they've been really good fun. So, yeah.
I've retreated back to the Octopus Garden before they're on. So I've missed them. I've been catching the replays though, and I've been noticing a lot of comments regarding the Octopus, calling him a narcissist and other lovely words. So.
Narcissism is essentially self-love, and if you love yourself, I don't see why that's a disconnect.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Don't encourage him.
I was about to say, there's enough self-love going on around here.
It turned into a bit of a parenting night the other night, didn't it? Like a bit of parenting advice was floating around.
Yeah, I mean, we all wear many hats, don't we? And what was it? Was it the comment on circumstances? I think it was, where people go like, some people have houses, some people have apartments, some people are renting, some people are buying, some have storage units, circumstances, right? So just commenting on the weighting of the various things that allow us to do what we do. Yeah, and then obviously everyone tries to kind of weigh in, Grumpy Granny, with how to bribe children. You know what? You might be a bit of a hostage taker yourself, Grumpy Granny.
Just in a different, quite nicer way.
Can I just say that laugh, that giggle was very much, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's the guy who comes and collects the children. He goes like, children, come out, wherever you are.
Granny's the one that
that's the giggle.
Do you want to know something really, really funny? In my book haul that I got yesterday, I got a book about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh, that show would not. That show would not make the movies in today's PC culture. But back then, that was a classic. That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to subscribe to it and have a watch. Is it a Disney movie? I've never seen it.
Yes, it
Oh,
would be Disney. I'm pretty sure it is Disney.
is it Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Mm.
Yeah,
It was
so
just Van Dyke and Julie Andrews, so it would have been Disney. Yeah.
oh, geez, they get around, don't they?
Mm.
They're in everything.
They did. Yeah, they did. Mm.
I can't take these old people anywhere. Okay, between the three
Enough.
of you, we're gonna talk. Don't get me started on old people. I believe my hostage knows what's going on with old people. So
That's
today,
enough. Be nice. Just be nice. I thought you were doing this course about being sensitive to other people. Or doesn't that apply to me?
Oh, I haven't got to the point where I've got to be nice to old people yet. That's the next subject.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm slowly working there. Speaking of old people, we're getting a bit famous, John. Like we've got 109 subscribers now, so we'll be almost opening up the cake stands at the old people's shows and nursing homes. We'll be cutting ribbons in no time.
Look, subscriber numbers they don't really mean anything to me, anyways. Like I feel you can build up all these subscribers and then most people don't unsubscribe. I think that's the thing. Like you can build up a subscriber base and then eventually if your content just goes to rubbish anyways, the number kind of stays the same, but the viewership kind of shows that they're not really watching your stuff.
We're already there. We've got the rubbish content straight up.
so I mean, like I don't know, like with numbers, it's actually not. You don't even know what to track at the end of the day. You kind of just go. You make stuff. You make it consistent. You almost just have to add value and then hope that that's enough. Essentially, you add value or you're just entertaining, right? So in this case, you've got the value in the granny and you've got the entertainment in the octopus.
I thought I was the value one.
That's the way. That's the way. Although we wouldn't mind if more people subscribe. That'd be pretty cool.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah. Well,
as a result of this episode, I think we will have another 100 subscribers. Let's just.
I was hoping for.
All right, we'll go for 100. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, yes. Well, how many serial killers are there in the world?
Well, it's more like at this stage, if I can get you 100, then I can at least say I doubled your subscriber base at one point in time, and that's like a nice little number, right?
Yep,
yeah,
true.
That's
true.
exactly
It's like when you watch the World Cup and someone goes, David Beckham's aging me. David Beckham's doubled the scoreline. Yeah, he just scored the second goal on the first goal.
Well, if you can do that, we'll get you back in when we get 70,000 subscribers, so you can double us again.
Yeah, that'd be the go.
And if that doesn't work, you will be going in the cage next time. I won't be leaving you in a dark room.
Depending on how you treat me next time, it will determine whether I eat octopus before I'm revealed.
That's right. Hey, taking out the competition, I've got no problem with that. And that's something, and like going back to that, like that's something that I've noticed in your lives and in a lot of people's lives in the reseller community as well, is that they're not, people are willing to share, in the reselling community. There's not really a sense of, I suppose, lack of a better term, selfishness. So everyone's willing to say what brands they're talking about. This will lead into the everything first niche conversation a bit later. But I'm finding that people are more forthcoming with what they do and what brands they're looking out for, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's stupidity on their behalf, a false.
Well, maybe. Well, yeah, you don't know for sure though, because maybe people are actually leading others astray by giving them false things to look for. You never know.
I mean, looking for lots of Hot Wheel cars, but I can't find any.
I've yet to find a red line one. I've found a few Hot Wheels for my grandkids.
I've put a couple of red lines on cars, but I don't know if that works.
I think, look, to that point about people wanting to share because no one else in their life actually cares. I think that's one aspect of it. People just want to be heard and validated, right? Like I found this thing, and what they're really hoping for someone to go, I found that too. I've sold that before. That does really well for me. That doesn't really do well for me. Like any sort of data, at least. And it's funny because even if somebody, like Grumpy Granny, when you started out, right? When you found a pair, like let's say you found a pair of jeans and you put it on eBay and you sold it. And then you're telling someone you sold it and someone goes, oh, you know what? That doesn't really work well for me. At that point in time, your thought process is like, yeah, but it works well for me though. And you're trying to back it up as much as you can. I think at that starting phase, when you get new resellers coming into the chats, that's really all they're after. They're trying to validate and confirm their biases for the most part. And that's fine because no one's going to do that for you. So really, you're kind of stuck in your head. But it's like when you get bigger, do you then leave your head and then, focus more on the actual numbers, focus more on the fact that, hey, the graph says that we're on a downtick. I can't keep believing that it's actually going to be an uptick until the uptick happens, because the last 2 years historically it's been that way. Things like that. So but the beginning definitely is that whole in your head conversation and just adding a couple of voices there to kind of confirm things, I suppose.
I think, like, for me too, because I live on my own, I don't have anyone to share anything with, so living with me, so it's nice to have that community around me that I can actually get on, whether it's an Instagram post or whether it's in our mentorship group, or whether it's on a video, to actually say, oh, this is what I did, and if someone likes it, you go, oh, that's good, someone liked it, like it gives a bit of feedback.
Now I know how to gaslight you.
I think, look, most people generally want to be helpful, because on the flip side of that, it's lots of people want to share, right? Like, want to be able to pass on some sort of advice, because once again, those in their life don't care. So when you think about it, it's like all this wisdom, all this knowledge, all these connections that you've made from, because we're logistics companies, really, when you think about it. We can sell almost anything. And so it's like, when you've discovered how to connect something from a supply to a demand point, it's quite impressive. You go, like, I didn't realize. That whole thing about OnlyFans and feet photographs, right? It's the whole, like, there's a supply of something that no one should really care about, but somehow somebody on the other side seems to care about it, and we've made it happen. And someone's paying for feet photographs. That's really that pattern of conversation across any sort of product, really.
Yes.
You forgot about something else that they look out for.
Oh yes.
I'm highly doubtful of that.
I might have to be very careful that I show the wrong tentacle.
I must say, a few times when I've gone to type tentacle, there's only one letter difference. If you replace the N with an S, it would be the wrong word, very wrong word.
Yes.
So don't scar anyone more else, please, Granny. You leave my tentacles out of this. Jon, that's what I was going to ask you. You said basically that, like, no one cares in the family unit, right? Like, I find a lot of YouTube channels, especially in America, where they got, like, husband and wife teams, and they kind of resell as a family unit. Do you see that in Australia, or is it something just, I suppose, exclusively overseas? It's very rarely you come across a reselling married couple. I suppose I have seen a couple of boyfriend girlfriend arrangements, but nothing married ones.
Look, you can be a power couple if you want to be, but it really comes down to the other person, doesn't it? Like, there are, I know reselling couples, and I don't think, and I mean, Jen does baby clothes, but she's never gonna want to do it full time, because it's not something that she enjoys all of it. Essentially, how she came about doing it was because she was buying too much stuff for the kids. And I went, if you're gonna have data already, to my point about in yesterday's video with the whole, did you guys watch the one with the top 3 things to consider when you're getting into a new category? Like, I essentially said, if you look at all the things that you, if you look at all the things that you buy on a daily basis, that's all your data in your head that you don't think about, because it's just habitual, right? So I said to you, look, you've got all this data in your head about a category of item. If you're gonna keep buying it, I really need it to turn into a business, because then it'll save me researching a category. And so it's kind of like a way to cope with the shopping habit more than anything. But then as we progress, despite that, so she likes seeing the sales come in, but really she just likes seeing the money come in. And she likes the shopping experience, because it just means that she can shop uninhibitedly. Although there is a point, because if the sell-through doesn't match, then the shopping becomes a problem, right? But thankfully, her taste in items are quite good. So she knows what sells for, however many. And the point being is, when I said to her, would you want to do every part of it full time? She's like, no. I just want to shop. I just want to see the money come in. I want to enjoy the.
I just want to some facet of her life, not all facets, just some facets.
Yeah, I don't want to fulfill the orders. I don't want to have to deal with the customer service. Even though she knows the product better than I do, more often than not, I'm the one who replies to the messages, like, how does the combined shipping work? How do we do a return? What are the rates and the customs when you ship to the States, to the UK? Which one is going to arrive first? Which one is customs going to open and delay, as opposed to, because as with baby clothes, if you buy a certain size and he gets there and it's delayed for 2 weeks, the baby just outgrows it, right? So there's a sense of that there's these parents kind of going, oh, how do I manage? Are they a 0? Are they a 1? Which one is it? And obviously if a parent is really like, it must fit perfectly, like, so that the photos look beautiful. So I feel those questions, not her.
Yeah. Oh, I just realised I forgot the YouTube power couple, like the most famous YouTube power couple that we know in the reselling community.
Yes,
Uncle
Brad and
Wayne,
Jazz.
Diary and a Flipper. Oh, you're talking about Brad and Jazz. I was talking about
I like Brad and
Wayne
Jazz.
Diary and a Flipper.
And look, there's when I went to the Gold Coast for Retail Fest, I came back and that was one of my observations. I told Jen that there are these couples that they get to the conference, they get to like the place with all the displays, right, with all the different suppliers, and they literally don't walk together. They literally split at the door, and they already kind of instinctively know who will talk to who, whether it be for reasons of my competencies in marketing versus compliance versus managing versus staff, whether it be I'm a dude and the person I'm talking to is more of a dude kind of dude versus someone who wants to talk to a lady, or whether it's a girl wanting to talk to a guy. Like they know all the connection points already, that they just split, and then they come back and then you see them at dinner and they're just debriefing, and it's like a really exciting debrief because all the information that's brought to the middle is new. And so that's kind of exciting, but that's the dream. But obviously there needs to be a desire for both to do it as opposed to just one doing it and then managing the other. And I don't think any like partner wants to be managed by their partner, like if it's not going to work if I'm always over Jen. You know what I mean? Like she needs to have her thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't micromanage.
Yeah, exactly.
I must admit,
I'd actually need to.
Shadow.
I'd actually need to find a fella to pick up and, be my partner first before I could do that. But yeah, okay.
Could be all the grandkids. I mean, once they get driver's licenses, subsidized rego if you do A, B, and C.
Oh yeah, got a few years to wait for that. I could have fallen off the bloody mortal coil, as Octo says, by the time the grandkids are old enough to drive.
I'm actually. This is not a hostage negotiation. This is an interview. In case you do fall off.
That's enough. I'll be here for a long time. And because someone said to me the other night, I think in your live that you only could play with Lego for up to the age of 99. And I said, well, I am 97 and a half, so I've still got a good 12 months left.
That's right. It's a bit of a coincidence that one of the Golden Girls fell off the tree when she couldn't play with Lego anymore. So, so I suppose
the 99 in the cheap win title was not. It's not a foreshadowing of any sort. It was purely just to pick a number that wasn't 100. I apologize. Very coincidental.
I'm pretty sure it was probably,
cheap win.
I was going to say it was probably printing the extra digital boxes. So we put an Instagram poll out. Yeah, by we I mean I.
Which I disagree with, by the way, based on what came back. I do disagree with it, and I reckon it's skewed because someone is more popular than the other. But that's about it.
See, that's why I love this man. Because I'm more of a niche, like I suppose, champion as well. Even though my main store is an everything store, my secondary store, which is doing better than my main store with 2,500 things in it, is being beaten by a store with 80 things in it. So I'm more of a niche thing. Granny, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, I think it's one of those things. I started as an everything seller, but it was too hard to keep up with each category that I was doing. And plus certain items I couldn't get regular consistent stock of, like say handbags. I love doing handbags, vintage leather handbags, but I couldn't get enough to consistently be listing in that category every day. So I have been niching down. So now I'm down to about maybe, across clothing, books, VHS, vinyl records, so I've niched right down to maybe about 10 categories now. So
you niched down to the op shop. That's what you're saying.
So I was say that again.
You niched down to the size of an op shop.
Yes, that's about right. Yes.
So the motivation to niche down is because you can't find supply. Is that what I'm hearing?
Two reasons. One, because I couldn't get consistent supply of certain things. Like I was doing vintage leather belts, vintage leather handbags, wallets and purses. Like each of those, because they're a separate category, you need to be listing in them each day. So, not only couldn't I get the consistency of stock, my process of actually listing and taking photos was really, really slow because I'd have to set up for one thing to take a photo of that, then do the next thing, take a photo of that. So I found that I wasn't able to list very much. And that was the other reason for it. So, I think for me personally, niching down is a lot easier for me to manage.
I thought you would have been a lot of stock at the nursing home. A lot of dozing old people with their vintage handbags.
Well, but I've already cleared them all out. That's the trouble. Yeah. They're not,
you point out something very interesting with capacity. The whole like, a lot of people, they start with the items that they like, and then they realize that they can't process them all the same way, and then suddenly they go, oh, but I gotta let something go. And it's this sense of loss that they're constantly battling of like, I like clothing, but I gotta let it go. I like toys, I gotta let it go. I like books. Conversely, if you actually think about, if they actually thought about, which is why Chris Furlong and I really get along, because we think about the process of getting the stuff from start to finish before we choose the item. And then really, when you think about what can fit on this space of photography with the same background, with the same, 12 photos, suddenly, like, you're not actually boxing yourself into a particular category. There's so many categories that can be shipped the same way, photographed the same way. And then it's actually quite freeing. And then the niching part doesn't end up being a supply issue. It actually ends up being a selling opportunity.
Yes.
So really, for me, when I think about niching down, it's really a case of, can I establish a sales velocity in a particular niche, even down to like, toy cars, dolls, action figures, right? They're all toys. They could all be the same store, but they're different. Whenever I pick up a bulk lot, there's a freedom to pick up whatever because there's a lane that it already goes into. And you know that the lane that it already goes into is going to sell because there's a record of it selling, and the algorithm continues to present the store because it's a store that keeps selling. And there's a consistency in the listing, in the, like everything's consistent. There isn't like a, like even if they were to do a spreadsheet and sort all the data points and go, what's the same and what's different, really the only thing that's different for most of my stores is the name of the actual thing. The rest of it is the same postage, the same returns policy, almost the same description, because the description just says we will combine postage and we will ship in a box if it's relevant to that. So then it's like, okay, so everything's the same. The price is different, and then maybe half of them have the box thing and half of them don't, because half the things don't really need to be in the box. So if an algorithm is sorting by what's consistent, I would argue that all the data points are consistent, as opposed to a store that has $9.99 shipping, and then another item is $9.50 because they haven't updated to $9.99, and then there's like $8.50 from way back when. You know what I mean? That just presents as not proper. So if a computer had to pick most of something, present that first, then the niche store has that chance. That's really how I view niching. So then really when it comes down to supply, it's like I have the confidence that whatever I pick up can actually be sold. So if that's the case, I can pick up anything. I can pick up any volume of anything. And then the moment I have a competitor, that competitor presents a reference point price-wise for me to move many volume. So like if let's say I'm used to getting $99 for a bag, and suddenly someone happens to have 10 of those bags and they list them, I've got 20 of those bags because I've been happily buying them. Now I'm just going to sell them at $7.79 and move them up because I'm picking them up at 10 anyways. You know what I mean? That reference, people are afraid of competition because, so to me, if your competition is good because it provides buyers choice, and when you give them the illusion of choice, they make decisions faster. So in that sense, it's like if somebody undercuts you on price, undercut them, move your volume. Competition on supply, on the other hand, is a lot more problematic because you don't want people picking up all the stuff that you can pick up. But once again, you pick up a lot faster, you have a habit of picking up a lot faster, you're taking listings off Marketplace, Gumtree, and so on. The algorithms on those sites are giving you more of those same listings. You've got a more refined feed than your competitors anyways. You're getting there faster. You're paying for things up front. You're making long road trips from Mildura all the way to Melbourne because you're paying for it all up front. You have confidence that this category is fairly trustworthy. You're essentially ahead of the curve of your competition in a lot of ways on the supply side, because you've done so many lots and so many sales that somebody new to the category doesn't threaten you, because you know that they have to get over a whole bunch of mental barriers of like, do I pay up front? What if they scam me? Like those of us who sell in niche categories know that scams are very low and category specific. So I would not pay for games up front because the gaming category is rubbish, people-wise, not the category. The people are rubbish in that category. Action figures, the people are generally okay. But like toys for children and toy cars, most of the people there are pretty lovely. So in that sense, paying for things up front is quite easy for me to do. And sometimes I'll have like, $10,000 outlaid. And then I just go pick it up over the course of 2 days, right? And the thought of having 10 grand leave you and not have anything back or no assurance, because they're all bank transfers. It's not like they're PayPal. You know what I mean? But you do that because you have confidence in the category from the knowledge that you've received over this, duration of, bringing stuff from here to here. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my
Mm.
niche
That's
experience.
good. Yeah, and I'm very similar. Like I find that niches are a lot easier because I suppose because I suppose I look at a brand specific, right? So I focus on a brand niche where I've tailored that store to specifically that brand. Out of the last 100 customers that I've had in that store, 74 have been repeat customers. So they know exactly who to come back to. While I've done that on my Octopus store, then you've just basically, I think out of 100, it was like 4 repeat customers.
Yeah.
Just by sporadic stuff. There's jeans, there's clothes, there's Funko Pops, there's bits of old people that I found laying around in the middle of the road. All these different things that you
Highly
put on.
valuable.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I normally put them in, throw them to the fish for Burley, but I thought, hey, if you can sell them, you can sell them. But like I said, the niche store, and once you deal with your customers, if they and Jon keeps saying, if they have a pleasant experience, they'll come back, and all those different things. So you need to make it a more of an above and beyond. What I suggest, if you are looking at doing a niche and you've met the criteria that Jon outlaid, is actually order from your competition, as long as it's within financial reasons, and see how they package, see how they ship things, and how they interact with you as a customer, and all these different things. And these are the things that I did before moving into the niche.
I had a competitor literally sit up about 20 km from where I am, and I literally I bought stuff with a different account, rocked up in person, literally just to see what kind of storage they were working with. And then when I rocked up and I was like, this house is smaller than my house, good. Which means that every time they list something that's big, that takes up space, I'm undercutting price. So that way that stuff stays on their shelf for longer.
That's right. So what I do, and I'm the same. I buy in obscene bulk lots for the product that I sell. And when a competitor pops up, I just smash them price-wise and quantity-wise, to the point where I corner niche markets and all these different things. So and it's just, like you said, learning it, providing exemplar customer service, and going from there.
And also, there's something to be
boys
said
and
about
girls. Excuse me,
yes.
Boys and girls. Grumpy Granny's not anywhere near as cutthroat as these two are. I can tell you that.
I don't think it's cutthroat. I think it's more.
You haven't been on the ocean floor, have you, Granny?
It's
Tricky.
okay. It's not dodgy either. You're trying to get a feel for your competition, and I suppose.
Oh no, it's not dodgy. It's learning.
There are no rules around how we are supposed to do something when it comes to reselling, because you can sell anything, sell it anyway. The only rules are eBay rules, which are, as we all know, are generally quite vague and not enforceable. So when it comes down to it, you're trying to figure out how does your competitor source, how do they retain, how do they price. You're sending them best offers to see what their tolerances are for discounts. You can figure out all those numbers pretty quickly. And then once you know that, you're like, all right, for me to compete with this person, I need to operate this way. This is how much volume I need to move. Here's how much grinding I need to do to make up for the fact that I now have competition. And then the choice becomes, do I adjust or do I leave the category altogether? Most people, especially if they are making something like 5 figures from one category, they're not going to leave the category. So it's a matter of adjusting and then figuring out how to delegate, outsource some work even maybe. Yeah, and look, there are some. If you niche down narrow enough, you come to realize that your activity moves the market, and that's a feeling that a lot of general store people will never get, because they don't.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's those general store sellers as well who are on Facebook going, how many items should I list a day? In my honest opinion, it doesn't matter to you. It's not relevant, because your listing doesn't affect the market. The way, if you're a niche seller, and if you loaded up the market with every single copy of PS2 games that you've got, you're gonna see prices move. You're gonna see sales happen before you or after you based on what you do. And so if you're a general store person, it's just list more variety, I guess, and have better quality of stock. But you're not gonna game the platform unless you really have some sort of double-digit percentage market share, between 20-30% of that market share within that very narrow niche. And when we talk about narrow niches, guys, we're literally saying, do you differentiate between toy cars, toy planes, and toy trains and toy ships? You know what I mean? Like, are you niching down into those actual lanes? Because if it's just toy vehicles, you're not going to see much movement. If you do toy cars, but you don't care whether it's 64 scale, 61 scale, fine. Like 64 to 61 is generally the same, but we're talking, some people will put 43 scale, 32 scale, 18 scale, all in the same shop, and they've only got 100 listings. you're not moving any market, because the buyers for the the 18 scale is very different from the 64 scale. You know what I mean? So, or some people will do vehicles, but then they'll have die cast, plastic, they'll have motorized, they'll have RC cars, all kind of chucked into one and go, this is a car shop. But the car buyer goes, no, this is not a car shop. It's just a random toy shop. You don't care. You don't tell me you know what you're doing. And I think the other thing that the biggest argument I get back whenever I talk about this topic is they go, well, but Maya does really well, and Woolies does really well. I'm like, yeah, but they are not niches. They are curators. There's still some sort of logic to the curating. You don't see any brand in Maya. And even then you see the brands are still sorted by gender. The brands are still sorted by price point. And they're allocated various points of, like, you don't see the most expensive, like, women's fashion brand next to the cheapest one. There's a bit of a walk to kind of get from one to the other. So when you think about how eBay is as well, they'll just chuck anything into the store and go, well, I'm curating. Yeah, but you're not really, because you haven't given any thought to the buyer's journey getting from one listing to the next listing. And then you go to their store and you audit it. What you'll see is a handbag next to a pair of Essex. Both are high value items, but they don't belong next to each other. Next to each other, they bring the values down of both. Like Maya would never put Essex brand new next to a brand new handbag. They just wouldn't. So why do you think you doing that secondhand, where the buyer cannot touch the item, cannot smell the item, cannot try the item, you're taking all those things away and you're expecting still to get the same price? Absurd. Doesn't make any sense. So really the niche store is more of a safeguard, if anything, to kind of protect you from yourself, because you think something's worth something. For you to get that feedback back, you kind of need the niche and you see whether the items move, whether the market moves with or without you. And then really general store is just a matter of learning the platform. And I think people need to kind of upgrade from general to niche eventually, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, because I think starting off selling a bit of being a general store is the only way to actually work out in the end what you do want to sell. Like, so if you start off selling something, but just don't, my only advice for beginners would be, when you're doing that, don't go and buy bulk of any one thing until you've actually started. You need to test the water, because you might, like I did ceramics for a little bit, but then I decided I hated packing it, too long, and it was took too long to package it up. So I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was glad I only had about 20 items. Just don't buy too much of any one thing until you're sure that's what you want to do.
And I think as well is that, like you said, research and make sure you want to do, but make sure you can secure a supply line of that. Because I'm in another group chat, and this person said, look, I've had enough of selling old people body parts. I'm moving into DVDs, for example. And it's like, why would you want to move into DVDs? She goes, oh, because I just see them sitting in the shelf. You don't know what the quality is like. You don't know what you're able to do that. Because, for example, DVDs, 1 in 100 might be worth something. So it's potentially, 2,000 DVDs to get your daily listing limit, if that's what you're looking at. So I think you should, like you said, don't jump, straight into the pool and buy a bulk lots of everything, but just research the market a bit, other than romanticizing about, hey, I'd love to be a DVD seller, I'd love to sell hair rollers. It's a case of make sure, like Jon said earlier, make sure you got all the ducks in a row. Then obviously you can go down that way, because there's no use saying, hey, look, I really want to sell old nana quilts behind granny, and you only come across one a year.
Well, of course, because they're handmade,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Real old people too, isn't it?
There's I think sorry, Granny, you were about to.
No.
It's just going to have a go at me.
I'm just going to have a go at him.
That's how our relationship works.
What was it? I lost my train of thought. Yes. So the exciting thing about selling on eBay for me is the fact that you can sell anything, right? And everything was mass produced at one point. And so that means that somebody, and I was going to do a post on this where I saw someone was selling on like one of those bigger websites that sell things for really cheap with free shipping from a certain country that we will not mention. And they were selling like silicon like paw covers for cats, so that you could slide these things onto each paw, and then you have your cat has like red rubber paws or blue paws. But like and there was another one which was helmet covers that you could slide over your like the scooter helmets that like go like this.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the cover, right? The scooter helmets, but you put the cover on, it looks like it's a teapot on your head. But I was thinking to myself, like, these are not items that, you know, Grumpy Granny sews in her house or melds, you know, in the back shed. These are items that go through freaking factories that have to make minimum numbers, right? So these are mass-produced items. And so when I look at when you go into this reselling journey and you think to yourself, people will say, I can't find items to sell. I don't know what to sell. I'm like, that's the wrong question. Maybe just find any absurdly mass-produced item, see that it does sell, and then you finally realize anything can sell. The issue is, do I know how to sell it? And the answer lies in, how does the buyer want to buy it? So whenever we go into these live chats, right, on my channel, you always find me not talking about the platform at all. To me, a tool is a tool. It's about understanding how the buyer wants to buy my item. And that's really why I have all these niche stores, because there are the toys that sell to children that parents pay for. That buyer behavior is very different from the toys that go to grown-ups like you and me, Otto, who buy toys because we never got them as kids, right?
That's right.
Like we're both children, but we're both different children, and therefore the same store cannot be built for two people. And so when you think about like things like DVDs and stuff, like the stats are the stats, but it doesn't change the fact that if somebody understands how a buyer buys DVDs, they can very much make a store out of it, if they understand that it only has to be bulk or it has to be sorted by series. You know what I mean? Like, so like Aussie Flipper, for example, right? Like, despite the many criticisms of his channel, the one thing that he does talk about is the fact that DVDs must be sold in complete seasons, because that's how the buyer buys it, right? Like, you can't just put them all individual and expect somebody to go, I want to buy this one and this one, this one. Just give it to them as a whole season, and it makes the decision a lot easier. And so I think that applies to everything, you know, everything that. And for example, like even things like costume jewelry that go for $5 free shipping. In jewelry, you can't bundle it. So therefore, somebody coming to that conversation from DVDs going, I paid this much for DVDs, 50 cents, and I sold it for $5, but it had to be bundled. If they take that logic and go to costume jewelry, Granny knows, like nobody ever bundles jewelry unless it's meant to be a wholesale lot. So you can't just go 50 cents at the op shop and sell for $5. It has in a bundle. It needs to be individual because women like to choose.
Yes.
And if you can't, and if you don't have the capacity to process that category to allow that choice, then you can't sell in that category. And I think that, and that's an understanding that I think when you look at the sellers who do well in that category and those who complain on Facebook, how does someone do it free ship? They understand that this is the only way the item moves. You know what I mean? And continually going from category to category to category and learning how buyers buy. Eventually, when you see an item, your brain very quickly goes, I know how that will sell, and I don't want to do that process. Or I know how that item sells. I want to do that process. I can do that process, but the margin doesn't make it worthwhile. Right?
Yes.
So you go, there's time, there's the time, and then there's the knowledge, and then there's the money that you'll make. So if all those things line up, you find yourself a new category. And thankfully, our selection set's fairly infinite. You know what I mean? Because as mentioned at the start, everything's mass produced. So it takes the stress and the pressure out of it completely, because it provides a framework for justifying why you pick something up that isn't the sentence because I like it.
And that's what's going to undo a lot of resellers, right? Is because I like it, or because you know, it looks fun, or and I think subconsciously they're mimicking themselves off YouTubers, or for example, I'm just going to say YouTuber, but Facebook groups, or like you said, that they've seen this product in mass production or something like this, and this person's selling it. Obviously, it must be going well. I like the look of it. I'm going to sell it, but without doing any research.
I remembered saying to Jen at one point, I'm like, my favorite color is green, and so if I had my way, I would have a store that only had green things, because green things are very seasonal. They're quite hard to come by. Like, it'd be everything from Kermit the Frog to, Grover to only green jelly beans, like anything green, right? It'll be the green store. The problem is that if I put it on eBay, it's not going to work, because it needs to be an experience that someone walks in and goes, holy shit, these are all the shades of green.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
and
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could get someone that looks at it and go, oh, I hate green.
Exactly. And I think sometimes when people do that, I like it, and they keep buying, they're not ready for somebody to say, you're curating for you and I don't like you.
Yeah. And look, there is a point, and I did, because I mean, when I started, I was on my own and didn't have much community interaction. And, there was a lot of stuff that I did have been getting rid of that I bought at the start, and have realized since that, I mean, look, it was cheap, so it wasn't big outlays, but they did get to a point where, you realize I'm should not be buying for me. I need to be buying for the buyer.
Hmm.
I need to buy what is selling, not what I want to buy.
And even things like okay, so I'm not sure how in Australia we don't really have this, but in Malaysia where I come from, you'll go to lots of these food courts where someone only makes one dish. And usually it's like, so for example, here if you go to like a Malaysian restaurant, they'll have a list of things like your curry laksa and whatever else, right? But in Malaysia, they're actually in food courts where there's just one stall that only makes curry laksa, and that store does well because it is the best curry laksa within a considerable distance, so that I don't have to go to the next curry laksa place. And then if the place does it so well, they will open another one within a walking distance, so that when people leave work, they will message each other going, which one has the longer queue? Go to that one. Go the or shorter one. We have one. Usually it's like a family member, like a son that cooks, and the son is taking on the recipe. But the point being is that you already know what the buyer wants, and you are the best at it, and so therefore that's where it meets between I'm the best at something, and I like it, but the buyer also likes it. And I think a lot of times when resellers get into this whole reselling thing, they're not very good. That's the first point. They're not willing to accept that they're not very good.
Yep.
And then they're also not very focused. And somehow they still expect the market at large to like them and accept them and buy from them.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense at all, right? Doesn't.
Yeah, and going on that, like that's where you need to research before you go buying stuff, because sometimes watching YouTube videos that say, look how much money I made by spending this, or I bought a heap of rubbish or picked rubbish up off the side of the road and sold it for this, that, and the other, like that can be so misleading. And that's where you do need to actually do your research. Like, yes, watch all the YouTubes, watch all the things on Instagram and stuff, but do your research.
And even, I feel like with YouTube, it's just about possibility at the end of the day, which is why, like, when we share, when Chris and I were talking about sharing sourcing videos and sharing how we process stuff, really, like, we've stopped doing these multi-edit, here's how I pack, and here's what I bought, and here's what I picked up, and because the items that are bought in my suburb are so different from the suburbs just a few suburbs up. Like, remember when I was doing thrifting, it was very clear that the people in one suburb knew the brands up to a certain price point, and then anything above that was essentially bolos, because they didn't recognize the brand, they priced it really cheap, but then that was what the biggest margin was. And then you go to Camberwell, for example, which is like a much nicer suburb. You'll see like your Sass and Bide and your Zimmermans and your David Lawrence being priced at what those prices should be. And then your Cotton On was actually thrown out, but then there wasn't any margin there. But essentially, it's what we recognize, right? So then if I tell you what I recognize, you're not going to get that where you are anyways, or there's no guarantee. You still need to understand how the items go from the supply side to the demand side. And then if you can identify those steps, you take that pattern of recognition, you just accept what you find in your area. You know what I mean? So then that kind of, so really sourcing videos to some extent are just about, this is possible. That's really all it is. It's not buy this item. But people interpret it as buy this item. Like don't be on the lookout for this. Just recognize that if you look, you will find something.
Yes. True.
So what you're saying is that YouTube has ruined reselling. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. But I believe the topic was about whether it's destroying op shops, wasn't it? That was the topic. It was whether it was.
It changes whenever I feel like it. That's the beauty of being a bipolar octopus. No, that's exactly right. Those sourcing videos are more of a entertainment outlet, I think, opposed to actually doing it. Because like you might say, hey, look, we're looking for a specific DVD today, and go through 8 op shops looking for neighbors or a country practice or something along the lines of that. Then that becomes very realistic when you go through 20 op shops and don't find one single neighbors DVD or a country practice DVD. And less entertaining when you start screaming at people on the way out.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the entertaining thrifting videos are watching people pick up all different things and finding half a dozen things in the one store, isn't it? And all different items that they pick up. So we don't want to watch. I don't know. We don't really want to watch people go in and find 10 items of the same thing, do we?
No. And then I was thinking about how when you look at a sourcing video, you might get a whiff of say 10 items in a 20-minute clip, right? Because there's all that B-roll of driving and talking and commenting on the item and whatever else. But then when you look at stores like, think of myself, like Mel, you think of like Chris, we're moving like almost 1,000 items a month. When you look at that, we have to buy that same amount, if not more. I cannot make a video showing you all the good stuff. Even if 10% was good stuff, that's 150 items. I don't have time to make those videos for you guys.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like you guys, and not because I don't enjoy making those videos, because I don't see the point. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, if we do live streams, we do the chats, we talk about how to actually identify items, why it's important. Like Jody actually messaged me and she was saying like, here's a bundle of cars. What am I doing wrong? And I went, there's the buyer who buys individual by make, by model, by color, by range, by bundling, you disqualify all of them but one. And so really, are you disqualifying all your buyers, or do you want to qualify them all and list them all individually? In which case, if you do, this is what you have to list it for, which is $1, because retail is $2 for what you had in that photo. And she went, so by giving someone that, that's more useful. Because then every time you decide to bundle and choose or put things together just to save yourself time, you're asking yourself, am I disqualifying buyers just so I can save time?
Yeah.
And if the time saving is worth the disqualifying because the buyer that will end up buying that bundle is a quick buyer, then it's worth it. But if the buyer that's going to buy it is going to take his time, wait for a cheaper bundle, prefer a bundle that's of a different mix, then the time saving isn't really a time saving, and you're better off listing them individually. And if the dollars individually for the effort isn't worth it, leave that category alone. But that's more of a you circumstance, not an item commentary. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Interesting conversation.
For surprise, we're not normally this informative, are we, Granny?
No, we're not. We take
the mickey out of each other for
exactly.
People are not going to know what happened to them.
Their brains will be spinning, I
was about to say, we have all these people with like their heads exploded sitting on chairs.
Yes, because they'll be blown away with what they've learnt today.
Right.
Have you checked Instagram recently? I think I made a post. I'm not sure if it's already come up. It should have come up by 11:30, and it's 12 now. Have a look. Let me know what you think. It's a bit of a segue.
My eyes are painted on, so I can't look.
We'll get Granny's reaction to that Instagram post that I put up that I scheduled for by 11:30.
I'm just trying to find my phone. Okay, I found it now.
It's not the only time today you tried to find your phone.
Enough of that. So is it just? It's not in your story. It's just a post.
Just a post.
Okay. What's he got here? Oh, help. Did you want to see?
That was fun. So for those people who are seeing this when it comes on, you'll connect the dots and watch the episode.
Yes.
This is a good episode.
Yes. So
we'll tell them in the closing segments of the episode that it's a good episode.
Exactly.
It could still take a sudden turn.
Well, we won't actually have to, because I did tell Octo that he had to give a shout out to you this week because you had mentioned us on your live stream the other night. So I guess we won't actually have to give you a shout out now, will we?
That's right.
Just capture the guy. Just capture the guy.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Make him turn up.
So it's excellent. So I suppose to going back then to the show now, we are very thankful, Granny and I, for the community involvement. We put up Instagram posts and we get a lot of interaction. We also get a couple of international viewers as well, and a couple of international friends that share our stuff, which is always very encouraging and thankful. And they're trying to suck up to us, saying we're doing a pretty good job because
I just realized my shadow's behind my head. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I've been memorized.
It's hard, isn't it, because you're so back the front on screen? Yeah.
I haven't listened to half the things you're saying. I've just been infatuated by your shadows. A couple of the noticeable shout-outs. Obviously, Jon the Reseller, our beloved Figsy. He's still in the dungeon, rattling and waiting for some food.
Yes.
And
Yep.
and James Bold's fine, so he's over in the UK. I have a chat to James probably on a weekly basis. Really nice guy. So if you're in the UK and you already don't subscribe to James, hit him up on Bold Finds.
Which is hard to believe. He's making huge strides over there.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
But I try and annoy him on his Instagram lives when possible. So I strongly recommend reaching out to them, because there's a lot of UK powerhouses that he knows and interacts with, and there's a lot of information that's also relevant across the pond as well. So
he probably needs to go and find a granny that's made a nice quilt to hang up behind him in his shed where he makes his videos, though. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Is
Rather
that your
than just a shed.
Is that your attempt at courting poor James?
Yes.
Well, if anyone knows how to ship one internationally, it'd probably be you, wouldn't it, Granny?
Oh, it would. It would. I would know how to ship it international, yes.
That's a bit of a plug for Grumpy Granny's international postage channel. So make sure you check out her YouTube channel.
I haven't made one just because your video was good enough. Someone's like, just go watch Grumpy Granny's video.
And that leads into our next week's topic. What are we looking at? So basically, next week's topic is going to be entertainment YouTube videos, or obviously instructional YouTube videos. So that's going to be the topic next week.
And I guess it really depends, because I do mostly instructional.
That's right. And
you're fairly entertaining, though. I feel like you're that person who makes work fun, and I think that's really all we want when we go to work and we
thank you, John.
Don't tell that, this is not fun for the octopus.
I hated working in the bank. One of the things I hated was the fact that when interest rates were up, there were those people who would say, "Oh, we can't sell home loans anymore." But then when rates went down, "Oh, we can't sell term deposits anymore." It's like, sell the other thing, sell the other thing. But it's an attitude. So therefore, if you make work fun, it's always appreciated.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things about being a reseller and, doing this podcast and having my YouTube channel is it's actually really good fun to be me. And not have to be constrained to anyone else's. It's my business. It's my YouTube channel. Even though Octo tries to run this, I do get a little bit of input. But it's just great to be able to be free and to be me, and to have people connect with that and enjoy it. So it's good fun.
If you make enough money, Octo doesn't have the leverage of the subscription anymore. You can just pay for the StreamYard yourself.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
She'll branch off, and we'll be all happier.
I have to ask.
It's almost a couple of times I've almost been tempted very, very late at night just to hit the live button just to see what happens, but I haven't been game enough to
do it. Do it without the lippy, without the hedges.
Yeah, I have to do it on a day. I've still got my rollers in though.
let us see you at your. Let us see you at your most natural. Natural.
Yeah. Without my lippy and my hair rollers. Oh dear.
But the problem that she faces, John, is that the nursing home turns lights off at 7 p.m. So if they hear her up after that, she might be getting some more meds.
Yeah. No, they let me sit up in the sunroom, and they have it, fake sun lamps to let a bit of sunlight in to us.
But I mean, look, if there are people staying up to, because Chris Furlong was quite surprised that the number of people who turn up to the nighttime lives. And I was saying to him, just for fun, that was that one time we did for 5 hours. I wanted to see if anyone would actually stay the full 5 hours. And Jody at Recommerce Dave stayed till like 4 o'clock in the morning. So
wow.
Yeah. So I think if there are people who are gonna do that, I even said to Chris, you should do something in the morning when you're just going for your run, just like live stream it. I reckon people will turn up. Like strap a keyboard.
I would.
And just strap a keyboard to yourself and then live stream.
You're better at taking hostages than I am. That's what I'm hearing.
So I'm thinking Granny should do a live stream in the morning if the nighttime doesn't suit. I mean, making your cup of tea and you're flipping pancakes while talking to us. We'd watch that.
You would watch me make pancakes. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. He said he would watch you.
I said we, as in a representative of the community. We,
as in not as the aquatic life. That's what he's not talking about. That's from that word.
I have to ask Granny. Last week when Octo asked you who it would be, to this week, you said someone with cute kids and someone with a dog.
Yeah. Well, apparently you've got the cute kids.
Yes.
So I know that now.
Because when you said cute kids, you had a bit of a pause.
Yeah, I was just saying because there are some resellers I know that have got cute dogs, so I was kind of trying to suss out whether I could narrow it down a bit by knowing whether they had a dog or not.
She was hoping it was a Commonwealth picker.
Commonwealth picker. No comments on the Commonwealth picker.
well, Mel from Back from Burnout, she's got lots of cute dogs around her at the moment at the warehouse.
She's she's out of our price range. She wants a bacon and egg muffin for an appearance fee.
Who else? Oh, well, and Judda's got dogs and the cute kid. See, if you had said yes to the cute kid and the dog, I might have thought it was Judda. I had it narrowed down to about 5 that were going to be here today. I thought, well, it could have been Brad or Jazz, and it could have been Judda. They should still come.
This is fun. They should do it totally.
Yeah. We would. Yeah, they're good fun. 2 Aussie flippers for anyone that doesn't know, and
2 Aussie thrifters.
That's 2 Aussie thrifters, sorry.
Yes.
2 Aussie thrifters.
Keep promoting their channel.
If you type in 2 Aussie, it comes up anyway. So yeah.
I wanna see Brad and Jazz like completely unscripted. I want to see them like live and you guys just messing with them. Not because I think they would screw up. I just feel like it would be just a lot of fun to see that side. Because oftentimes what we see is it's a very structured. There's dot points. There's there's a bit of mental rehearsal, and we get a very awesome delivery. That's what makes them really good. Let us see the other side, Brad and Jess. Let us just see you in your most natural state as well.
I want to see him with a beanie on.
Give us that privilege, please.
Oh, poor Brad.
If I ever kidnap Brad and Jazz, I'll make sure that they don't have a script with them.
Hey, maybe we could make sure if they'd have to be in separate rooms and on separate feeds, and then we could do the whole thing where we have that competition where you ask one something about the other and see how well they answer.
And they flip up the This is the sign. It'd just be like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jazz would know what's going on, but not so much for Brad. So who else did you think it was? So you thought it was Judda, you thought it was Mel,
and
Brad and Jazz,
and Brad and Jazz.
Mel and Tom. We should get Mel and Tom on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I did think of Jon, but then I didn't think he was because you told me he was an everything seller, so I was sort of thinking it was some that you might not have fitted because you're more niche. And who else did I think of? There were a couple of others.
It's not like the octopus to lie to throw you off, is it?
No. And the other one I thought, I reckon he's going to trick me. It's going to be Chris Furlong. That's what I thought.
Familiar.
He was my number 1 pick, I thought.
I purposely made sure it was someone obscure that you'd never think of. and someone quite light that I can throw in the back of a van.
Well, yes, that's true. They have to be, right? No, yeah.
I am a bit of a string bean, so yeah, that's accurate.
Although you could actually pick Chris up by his hair, like grab him and chuck him in the van by his long locks.
I cannot comment. I did spend several nights with Chris and Carla when we were at the Gold Coast. We stayed at the same accommodation. The worst accommodation, by the way, but Carla, we gave Carla a very simple brief. Find us the cheapest thing that we can stay in, and she did that. So it was safe, but it was one of those like concrete flats that have no airflow whatsoever.
No,
yeah. So us non-Queenslanders going up there, it was just like do our best. Oh, and they gave us the standing fans that rotate. There was one per bedroom. So essentially, when we're out like in the living area, we'd bring the fans out with us just to give the air a bit of a flow. Like Chris and I, for 2 days, we would go to the window, open it, and just marvel at the fact that we could feel nothing. And we go outside and we're like, I feel something, but how is it not coming through the window? It was just really strange. The fact that the air was like, stuff it, this is too hard.
Yeah.
Stay outside.
Because was it humid when you went up there at that time of the year?
Yes, I wore contact lenses because my glasses kept doing this the whole time. all this to say, the whole time I was there with Chris, I never lifted him, so I cannot comment on how easy he would be to lift by the hair.
Right.
And I think it'd be a bit faster as well, so that's probably waste more petrol.
Yes.
It's like more money on petrol to accelerate the chasing. Yeah, so it's a bit hard to get that guy. Anyway, I think we might close it up. But thanks again, John, for appearing as our first hostage. I think
my pleasure.
enjoyed the unveil as much as I did, and hopefully our consumer base enjoyed it as much as we did.
I hope I did. I hope I did the brief justice as you requested.
He did. He had if anything was scripted, he had a 4-page document and non-disclosure agreements. So I think I've taken Brad and Jazz's their title as scripted. So no, but thanks again for that, John. I really appreciate it. So Leanne was
thanks for having me.
Excited.
It was great having you on.
I was a bit worried that she was going to guess it, but dementia kicks in, so she would have forgot 15 minutes later. Anyway, so.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But anyway,
so you say.
Okay, but thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us if you're an everything seller or a niche seller, or tell us who you think should be our next hostage. Tell us if you think we should get rid of Leanne. So leave it all down in the comments.
Of course not.
And we'll see you next week.
Leanne's leaving will be very much something of the Lord's time, I think. Not the Octo's time.
No, that's right. We'll have to pry her off the podcast, put it that way. So she's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, that's exactly right. I am not.
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, boys and girls.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Happy reselling.